They trying to do a podcast, episode number 33.
Yep.
Alexander, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Uh, you know, still sick.
Wait, you're still sick?
No, but I'm different sick.
Oh, about the Bruins, huh?
No, I mean, it's not what I meant, but
Oh.
if you want to talk about that,
Well, what kind of sickness then?
I don't know. I just, don't feel good.
Kind of thinking that it's related
It's not.
because I noticed this sickness kind of came along around the same time that the thing with the Bruins happened.
They don't correlate.
Hmm. Interesting. I guess there's that old saying, correlation does not equal causation. So there you go. Science. On Dead
Math.
Channel Duo number 33. There we go. So, moving on to more pleasant subjects. What have you been watching? What have you been playing this week?
Watching nothing
Okay.
besides E3. If you want my take on that, E3 special, link in the description. DCD special episode.
Yeah, please go check that out.
Played World War Z, NHL 19, and then I bought Mario Odyssey, and I'm playing that today.
Oh boy. That's a great choice. So, cuz you sent me a clip of you playing World War Z that you posted on Twitter.
Yep.
How did you come across this game? What made you buy it?
It was really popular like a month ago,
Uh-huh.
and then it was on sale, so the person I game share with bought it.
Oh, okay. Okay, there you go. Because I was like, wow, that's just kind of a random game choice from Andy. You don't buy too many games. I don't think you go into games
That's
to...
a lie. I buy a lot of games, I just don't play them.
Oh, okay. Well,
I paid $60 for Metro Exodus. Haven't touched it.
I got a copy. It's kind of a long story, so I won't bore anybody with it, but I got a free copy of Metro Exodus, and I still haven't played it.
I own I think it was 344 games on my Xbox One.
Yeah. It's really tough to find the time because as you get older, it just becomes less plentiful. So, for example, this week, I like to try to keep track of how much time I invest into something so that I could look at things in terms of return on investment, because time is an investment, right? So this week, I spent 7 hours plus another 2 to cover E3 for this podcast, right? So that just killed all my chances to play games, watch movies, watch TV, all that. This week I've been watching a little bit of Bloomberg News. Kind of gotten back into that because I'm playing the stock market again. So that's been fun. Been getting up to date on financial news. I watched DCD Film Club for this week. And beyond that, nothing else. I can't recall watching a single other thing that was notable this week. And then as far as...
twice?
Yeah.
You said you watched it last week.
Yeah, I rewatched it so I could kind of redigest it and see if I felt the same way after watching it the first time. Anyway, playing this week, I played a little bit of World of Warcraft, a little bit of Forza Horizon 4, but not much. Not much to where I could say oh man, I got a bunch of stuff done. It's just been a really busy week, man. It's been a really busy week, and I've been livid all week. I've been frustrated all week. It's been huge pain. In general, I've snapped at a couple people this week. I felt bad about that. So if you're on Twitter and you're like, wow, Al was kind of a jerk, or Al was kind of negative or pessimistic, it's just been a rough week, man. So one thing, I talked about this on Twitter, so if you already know about this, I'm sorry, but it's just kind of a rant I wanted to do. Smoke detectors / carbon detectors. I did not know this until I owned a house. Those have life expectancies. After a while, they expire, if that makes sense. Like, they stop functioning. So, and specifically when I did research on this, I was told that it was specific, to be redundant, to the carbon monoxide detector in there. So within the last 48 hours, every single carbon monoxide detector in my house has gone off very loud in the middle of the night. And I've had to replace every single one of them to the tune of $33 a piece. So out of nowhere, like after taxes and shipping and everything, it was like $140+ that I had to just blow unexpectedly. And when I called the manufacturer, they're like, yeah, they're not really like, it's not a timer or anything. I'm like, no, dude, I don't believe you. How would it be that 4 of them within 24 hours go out within the same 24 hours? I swear, dude. They just want you to buy them.
It's a timer, but like, I assume they were all put in the house at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like if you bought like 4 jugs of milk, they'll all expire at the same time, roughly.
But these things these things have a shelf life of 7 years. You don't think there'd be like a day or 2 difference? You don't think one of them would have been a trooper and kept going for a little bit longer? I mean, it's just.
There's always outliers.
I don't know. I think they put a little timer in there because those things are wired into the actual house. They take the power directly from your house and they use a battery as a backup. And I'm just annoyed, man. I'm just annoyed.
If you think there's a timer, don't buy them.
The Madden beta has annoyed me too. I feel like the way they distribute codes is ridiculous. They're just...
Get on your knees.
I refuse to beg for one. I offered to pay for one on Twitter today. I know there's a chance that I could still get one. And if I do, great. If I don't, I guess I'll have to pay for it. I do want to check out the game because...
Just not.
Well, here's the thing, man. Like, I want to get a press copy of the game, and I still have high hopes that maybe they'll send me one like they did last year. That'd be killer. But if they don't, I'm going to have to come out of pocket $48. Because I don't have a copy of the game to trade in at Best Buy for that killer trade-in deal they always have, where I usually get Madden for about $18 after the trade-in, because they're stupid. They give $30 for Madden for the previous year.
They don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Well...
Or the gaming thing anymore.
Yeah, well, I still have that. I'm grandfathered in until the end of August. So I would still get it for about that much, but I don't have a copy of Madden 19. I got one, digitally.
Go to Best Buy and buy one for like $3.
Fair enough. You make a good point. I could do that. So, nevertheless, there's a chance I might have to come out of pocket for this. So I figure this beta will tell me if it's worth getting or not. I want to see fixes, dude. I want to see fixes to the problems that I had with Madden 19.
That's not happening.
What? Why do you say that? Like, what do you mean it's not happening? How do you know that?
It's just... You'd be insane to think that they fix things.
I saw some gameplay... And I watched the little bit of gameplay that they put up on EA Play over and over and over and over again. And I saw things that I liked.
For everything they fix, they break 3 things more.
You're probably right. Probably right. But I can't get away from it, man.
People have been complaining about this forever.
I know. It's one of those things where I feel like it's become such a big part of my channel. And then the other thing is I feel like it's become a big part of me. Like I sat down the other day and I thought about Madden and I'm like, I've been playing since 1993. That's over 25 years of my life that I've played this game. It's really hard. It's like there are very few games that I could say that about. Like Mario. I've been playing the Mario series for longer. Sonic. I'll put Halo in there because I've been playing that for 18 years, right? But there's just very few games that transcend time that much, and Madden's one of them for me. Anyway, I've been livid this week, so if I was kind of a jerk to you on Twitter or any other platform, I apologize. It's just been a bad week for your buddy Purple Swordfish.
It's every week.
What do you mean?
Every time I ask you how you're doing, you always go stressful.
Well, I mean, I work a lot. I have a full-time job. I mean, I'll just be real, man. Like, money's always an issue, Like, everybody always says money doesn't solve everything. It doesn't, but it solve a lot of my problems, Like, dropping $140 this week out of nowhere was kind of a backbreaker. And, like, it's one of those things where as much as I try to invest and as much as I've saved this year, and we have saved a lot, me and my wife. Shout out to Ashley. But even then, man, it's like when you save that money, there like stuff comes up and you're like, I'm going to have to just go right back into that savings. Now, we've just been acting like that money doesn't exist, and it's been good. But it just life is stressful, bro.
You live like you're poor.
What do you mean?
If you make, I mean, I don't know how much you make, but let's say hypothetically you make $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Make this math simple. Act like you only make $50,000 a year.
It's easy to say that. And if you do take that approach all the time, you can certainly save a lot of money in a short amount of time. And we've done that this year.
I mean, not so drastically as half, but I'm saying like act like you
that's
don't
actually
make as much money as you.
That's a good way to look at it, though. Like, if you can try to save not even half, but like 20% of what you earn, if you can save that and tuck it away, that's a good thing. That's huge. And like, it's just, I don't know, man. But as terrible as my problems were, like Wednesday, I think was like the peak for me. I was completely fed up with everything and everybody. And I went to the gas station just to get away from work for a while, because like that was driving me nuts too. And go to the gas station, go inside, get a big swig. And as I'm leaving, this fella comes up to me, and he's very clearly homeless. And as nice as can be, he asked me for change. And I was like, you know what? I think I have $1. So I gave him the $1, because I always like to give those people that are homeless and asking for, I like to give them something, because like I don't care what they spend it on. Like, I hate homelessness. It's a big issue that I think we just don't put enough resources into as a country. Anyway, I give him $1, and I was like, you know what, man, as fed up as I am, like, my problems are nothing compared to what that guy deals with on a daily basis. Like, that guy has to worry about, like, finding a place to sleep where he'll be safe, or, like, what does he do when it rains? I don't even know. He probably just gets wet. Like,
you sleep under a rock?
Dude, that guy's life has to suck, Like, and I'm sitting there going, I'm sitting here getting pissed off.
You don't know. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he was some business guy. It was like, life's too stressful, I'm going to live on the streets.
Maybe. There's a lot of that too. Just in general, I just sat there and I said to myself, like, I'm really being a jerk right now because I'm irritated about smoke detectors, a job that I get paid to do, and the direction of my YouTube channel. Like, those are very minor problems on the grand spectrum of what you could consider to be a problem. Like right now, the worst thing going on for me is my mother-in-law is in the hospital. Like that's been a huge strain. But, and if you are a religious person, please pray for my mother-in-law. Like, we're hoping she gets out soon. But, yeah, man, like, that guy has to deal with way more. So I felt kind of like a jerk. And that's why I ran about why I'm really fed up this week. I'm sorry, guys. I kind of went on a tangent. So.
All right, first topic. Listener questions from Reasons I'm Broke. Favorite picks from E3 2019 from Square, Nintendo, and Microsoft. Check out the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, reasonsI'mBroke.com,
Yep.
and they're everywhere.
Yeah,
probably.
they're on Twitter at Reasons I'm Broke. They're probably most active on Twitter out of all social platforms. So they're on, I think, everything other than Facebook right now. So I'll lead off with this one with a throwback, bringing back an old segment. It's, oops, I made a mistake. Here's a correction. So, Square, I originally said that Final Fantasy VII Remake was not going to be episodic. I did some more research after recording the E3 special and found out I was wrong. I don't know how I was wrong. I watched the conference, but I clearly missed something somewhere along the way, and it is going to be episodic content. And they don't know how many sections they're going to release it in. However, even that being said, my favorite thing from Square was the Final Fantasy VII Remake, because I never got to play Final Fantasy VII on the PS1, and I never bought any of the re-releases on newer consoles. So that would be my favorite from Square. I hope they will not milk us dry for every dollar out there. And by the way, shout out to Breakfast with Lazy Gaming Guys. You can find them at lazygamingguys.com. They covered the Square conference way better than I ever could. And they were one of the first people I knew who found out about the potential of that being episodic. Nintendo, my favorite thing was...
No, you're not going to ask me my favorite thing, Square?
Oh, I thought we were going to do all three and then go back. Well,
I mean,
Andy, what was your favorite from Square?
Couldn't care. All of it was awful.
There
The
wasn't...
Last Remnant, by the way, is only $20 and it's already out.
It's not even worth $20.
The only thing that was
terrible.
I was half interested in Square was Dying Light 2, I guess. And I don't know. I wouldn't say it was a favorite.
It looked cool. And Last Remnant, I'm not even bagging on Square. I would just tell you there's way better games from Square to play other than Last Remnant. Last Remnant was not a good game. I stand by that.
And then Nintendo?
Nintendo, for me, it was Animal Crossing, even though it got delayed.
Zelda Link's Awakening.
Dude, it's tough to pick just one on Nintendo because I could totally go in that direction too.
But Pokemon, I won't go with Pokemon because they had the direct like a week before E3 that gave more stuff away.
Mm-hmm.
So from E3 stuff, then I'll go with Link's Awakening.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Animal Crossing. I wish it didn't get delayed, but I get why. So.
And Microsoft, we can't say Cyberpunk to make the things more interesting.
So that wasn't even my first pick. That was my second. But what was yours?
Oh. I'm going to go with 12 minutes.
Good pick.
Yeah.
Mine, I know this is kind of a cop-out. If I could pick anything, it's going to be the announcement of Project Scarlet. Like, that really got me hyped. They talked at a very high level and a very generic level about the specs.
That reminds me about the new Elite controller. Did you know that even these controllers will work on the Scarlet? Everything you buy for your Xbox One will work on the Project Scarlet. Like headphones, they said everything, like all accessories.
See that,
first party accessories.
To me, that just feels so long overdue, bro.
So like, if you buy the $180 new Elite controller, and you're like, oh, I don't want to buy it because it's not going to work on the next console, it'll work on the next console.
So I missed that detail, and I've got to say that's a really, really good choice by Microsoft, and I hope Sony follows suit as well, which they've done in the past, by the way. PS1 controllers used to work on PS2. They just didn't have the pressure-sensitive button. That was the only difference. Anyway, I would say Project Scarlet and the Halo Infinite announcement would be my number one. If I had to pick a number two, it'd probably be Gears 5, because it just looks really good. Cyberpunk's solid though. Don't let me downplay that at all.
I mean, I was just saying Cyberpunk's the face of all E3 this year.
I feel like Keanu Reeves gets better looking as he gets older. I don't know why I felt the need to say that right now. He came out on
Bill and Ted, Keanu.
He looked good then, but I mean, he looks darn good now. Yeah, dude. Like, I don't know how old Keanu Reeves is, but I would assume it's well above 40, and he looks tremendous for his age. He looks great. It's like when you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, you're like, how does he look that good? He's really old.
Thinking of things that look good. Question from Julian.
That's the best segue ever.
His question is, emus or ostriches?
I'm going to pick ostriches.
Yeah, dude, ostriches are way better, bro.
Yeah, I think they're more aesthetically pleasing, and they are also...
they run faster.
And they're taller. They're taller than emus. Fun story for you. When I was a kid, went to the zoo, and they had, like, ostriches, and they were in... like a cage, but it was a chain link fence separating you and the ostriches. So I put my finger, I was like holding on to the fence, so my finger was through it, and the ostrich bit my finger when I was a kid. Hurt like hell. I never thought that would happen in a million years.
Couldn't tell you I've ever seen either or in real life.
I've seen ostriches. They're really, it isn't until you actually see one up close and personal that you realize how big they are. Like, they're massive. They're very majestic looking, but they're also very temperamental. Like, they get very easily annoyed, as you could tell from one of them biting my finger. So, but I'm going to go with ostriches. So, next listener question comes from @SpoonSandwich on Twitter, aka Jared. He was streaming on YouTube today. Look him up on YouTube, Jared Monroe. Anyway, he asked, do you think being on Hard Knocks is beneficial or detrimental to an NFL team? Andy, I'll let you lead off.
I don't think there's any benefit from it, but I feel like it could be a detriment if people get hot-headed because they're on Hard Knocks. Like, oh, I'm a big deal.
Yeah, I would. So initially, if you had asked me a few years ago, I would have told you it's a detriment, almost undoubtedly. But when Hard Knocks came to Tampa and they covered the Bucs one year, players said that it brought them closer together. And I noticed a lot of fans learned more about players on that team that weren't even starters, like guys who were bench players. So for a fan base, I think it's certainly beneficial. For a team, I think it depends on how they go into the situation. I know, like,
I'm just the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, like that's a really good example, one that worked to their detriment. Meanwhile, the Bucs,
they have a current one right now, and they have a bunch of hotheads on the team right now.
Yeah, and like with the Bucs, it was definitely more of a benefit. So I think it varies from team to team. Although I will say, like when they first started the show, I was like, don't let them come to Tampa. Don't let them screw that up. But it kind of changed my mind, man. I think it's great for fans. I think fans love the show because it allows them to get to know players and see like the person. One of the biggest problems with the NFL, I think, is the fact that the players have a helmet on their head 90% of the time. So you don't get that face, you don't get that personality as much. Whereas in the NBA, like everybody knows what the players look like, like there's no helmet or whatever. But I think with the NFL, like them getting a little bit of extra face time is a good thing from fan perspective. But it's a good question. I kind of wonder if anybody's tracked how teams that were on Hard Knocks did, like, in terms of wins and losses. I know they usually pick teams that aren't very good, though. Have you noticed that? Like, they usually pick teams that aren't, like, very good.
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's literally called Hard Knocks for a reason.
Oh, I thought it was just called Hard Knocks, like, oh, it's a hard sport or whatever.
It's a hard knock life for us.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I get that. Yeah. Okay, well, there you go. That went right over my head. My bad. So, entertainment. I just wanted to take a minute to hype up the E3 episode that we did. Andy mentioned it earlier. Definitely check it out, please. A lot of time went into it. A lot of research. So, yeah, check it out. Next thing, Super Mario Maker 2. They announced It will allow you to play with friends with an update that they anticipate releasing very close to launch. So, Andy, any thoughts on Super Mario Maker 2? Are you buying this game?
No.
No? Okay. Well, I am. And I would encourage you, if you make levels, to send them to me. And hey, maybe send me a friend request on the Switch. I don't have my friend code ready or whatever. I don't know what it's called. You have to give somebody your, it's like a number or whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to put this down because we covered it previously on the podcast, and I was really, really ticked off about it. And I said that Nintendo was, I think it said something along the lines of they're tone deaf to their audience. But to me, this is kind of an encouraging sign. They obviously listened to people that were thinking about buying this game, and I just hope that Nintendo listens to fans of Nintendo on other things, like their online platform not being very good right now. But then again, it doesn't cost that much, so I don't know. Next thing here that I wanted to cover related to gaming. This was probably something for E3, but we just couldn't squeeze it in the episode. And I really wanted to get Andy's take on this because I talked with people at work about this, believe it or not. The Google Stadia. Does it interest you at all, Andy?
Defer to my last answer. No.
No?
I mean, xCloud's kind of cool, but I'm not going to use it. I don't even use, I use my Switch at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I use it in portable mode, but on my bed.
Mm-hmm.
That's as close to portable I go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think gaming's meant for at home and not on the go. Well, on the go, I just like to experience whatever's going on.
It's a fair thing. It's interesting you bring that up because as an adult, mobile gaming just doesn't work for me.
I haven't played a mobile game since sophomore year of high school.
So
2015.
I have a couple games on my phone, but they're puzzle games that right now I'm playing one that's a word game.
Oh, I lied. I played Plants vs. Zombies.
A
month ago. But
I'll play some.
Since sophomore year.
But I was thinking about buying a DS, and then I sat down and I said to myself, when am I going to have time to play a DS when I'm out and about? I would end up just playing it at home. So it didn't really make much sense. And, I thought about it. I'm like, when I drive somewhere with me and my wife, I'm usually the one driving.
Drive on the go.
Yeah.
play Mario Kart while you're driving.
When we do go out somewhere, it's usually for something social. The last thing I'm going to do is break out a DS in the middle of a social gathering and be rude to everybody that I'm with. I mean, that's just as bad as the people who... Hey, man, sidebar here. Have you ever gone out?
You can't sidebar a two-person conversation.
Okay, well, what? Okay, you know what, Andy? I'm really getting sick of you, bro. Sometimes I feel like we spend too much.
What are you sidebarring?
I feel like sometimes we just spend too much time together. Anyway, side discussion here, I guess. I don't know. Have you ever gone and had dinner with someone, right? You plan it out.
No.
Okay. Well, one of my biggest pet peeves is this. Friends that want to hang out, but when you hang out with them, they sit there with their face in their phone the whole time. I hate that. Drives me insane.
See, I grew up in the generation where we do that.
Yeah, but I hate it. I went to a bar recently. And I noticed, most tables, people had their phones away, in their pocket, and they're talking to one another, and they're having a discussion, right? They're enjoying each other's company. But then I look at other tables, and it's 3 people at a table, and they're all staring at a phone. And you're sitting there going, how weird is this? They're more invested in what's going on outside of this social gathering that they clearly planned and clearly wanted to spend time with their friends, yet they're spending their time talking to somebody who isn't even there. It's just so bizarre to me. So it's one of my biggest pet peeves, recently went out and went to a social gathering with some friends, one person there, they might as well not have been there. They were just in their phone the whole time. And I'm like, why did this person even come out? They're contributing nothing to the conversation. They're just sitting there scrolling through Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or whatever the hell. I hate that stuff. Anyway, sorry for that side rant there, guys. But Google Stadia, man, going back to that, I think it's an interesting idea, and I actually know people who pre-ordered the Founders Edition of this thing. I love the cost. My biggest question is the price, and then I also kind of wonder about the actual end user experience. Like, will it really be able to deliver 4K with 5.1 surround sound over a streaming connection? To me, that sounds a little too
down.
Well, that's the other thing too. I think there's a lot of people, believe it or not, who don't have very fast internet. I mean, and then those same people share connections with other people in their house. You know, so that just cuts it down a little bit more too. So it doesn't interest you at all, even though like you could bring your own controller and play it for like $9.99 a month, I think.
Go. And there we go. Sorry. The Raptors just won the NBA championship.
No way.
Toronto won. They won in 6. I predicted 7. Shout out to Toronto. Sorry, I've been watching the game the entire time. Not really.
Well, Andy's basically the people with the cell phone that I was talking about earlier. So.
I mean, sorry that I had $80 on this game.
Well, there you go.
And also, it's the NBA Finals.
Yeah, we'll never make $80 on this podcast because nobody listens to it. So there you go. Dude. Well, you don't see the numbers, pal, and I do. So Andy's not interested in the Google Stadia. I'm mildly interested. If I had more disposable income, I could see myself buying the Founders Edition for like, I think $129 is what it's going for. But my biggest issue is like, I just don't see any games on it right now. I know they're getting Uplay Plus in 2020, but I think right now the only thing they have like 100% confirmed that's a big game is Destiny 2. So I don't know.
Oh man, Destiny 2.
So excited. I don't know. I tried to get in that game twice, just couldn't do it. Anyway, moving on. DCD Film Club. So this week was my pick, and I picked Another Earth from 2011. It's an independent film, and most of you guys... Combo. What?
I realized while I was driving that I picked Fantastic Planet, and you picked Another Earth.
Yep. So yeah, that is kind of weird that we picked those back to back. So, like I said, it's an independent film. A lot of people mistake it for a sci-fi film, and there are sci-fi elements to this, but it's definitely a drama. Directed by Mike Cahill, stars Britt Marling and William Mapother? Mapother? I don't know how to pronounce his last name. So, I'll let Andy lead off here. What'd you think of it?
You don't. I'm sorry, Alex.
Come on, man. Let's just get into this.
Cinematography was bad. The score sucked. I didn't suck. Score didn't stand out.
Okay.
Cinematography was bad. The story is bad. I don't know. It just felt awful. Like, I don't know how to put. It's been a couple days since I've seen it, so like not everything's coming back. I'd prefer to forget this one.
Okay.
I don't know. It was just like nothing was accomplished and all. I feel like the concept the concept was better on paper than it was on film,
Okay.
and I don't know. Like, even if there was like a bigger budget, like I know I just said the cinematography and all that was bad. I just feel like the story just like couldn't be good.
Hmm.
Like I don't think it would ever work, no matter how big of a budget it had.
That's
Uh,
it's a stark difference from how I felt about this one.
it was probably the biggest difference in rating then.
Probably. So, um, boy, it's gonna sound like we watched two different movies, honestly.
I mean, the
So,
reviews on IMDb were also very flip-floppy.
yeah, I get that, and I get some of the reasons why. Like, and I'll get into that. But, so first of all, I thought the cinematography was good, considering the budget, right? And I felt like it did a good job the way they filmed it, a lot of the shots, a lot of the scenes. I felt like they did a good job of capturing the morose nature of the main character, right? Rhoda, they kind of gloss. I think that's one of the things that I wish they kind of went into a little bit more detail on. I think that the runtime on this movie was probably a little short, again, due to budget. But, you know, the initial mistake that Rhoda makes, causing the death of two people and an unborn child, putting another person in a coma,
Oh, never mind. I'm dumb.
and then spending 4 years in prison, mainly because she was a minor at the time, kind of got a lighter sentence due to that. It's very commonplace here in the United States. I felt like that was kind of rushed over, but when she gets out, like, you really feel the depression and how it sinks in. She even tries to kill herself at one point in the movie. I felt like they kind of glossed over that too. I felt like that was kind of rushed through.
I don't know. I don't think she was trying to kill herself. I think she wasn't feeling anything. Like if that she wasn't she was trying to feel something.
I could see that too.
Like
I never
it wasn't
really.
like an attempt to die. It was an attempt to like, you know, she was like bored. Everything was plain, black and white, and she wanted to, spice things up.
So I would say that. I would say that it was.
Or cool things down, I guess. To be directly what happened.
So for me, like, I saw it as she saw the humanity in what she saw the humanity as far as the consequences of her actions, right? She actually saw the person who had his wife, child, and unborn child killed. And I think that just triggered her. But I could be wrong, and Andy's interpretation makes a little bit of sense to me too. I think that's one thing about this movie that frustrates some people is many things are left very open-ended. And I think that you have to make some kind of determination yourself as a viewer. The director and the writer, Mike Cahill, has been very open about this. Like, he wanted there to be some ambiguity in the writing and the conclusion of the movie and things throughout the movie where you kind of make a determination yourself as a viewer. And it's led to a lot of fan theories. I mean, you can go down a rabbit hole and people have talked about like what actually happened in this movie. There's just so many theories out there. Nevertheless, just real quickly, I felt like that was brushed over to get to like the meat and potatoes, which is her ongoing and developing relationship with, John, who obviously she committed this crime that affected him, but he's none the wiser. He has no idea that Rhoda is the one who perpetrated this criminal offense on his family. And it all goes back to one moment. And I think that's why I like this movie, is that there was one static moment that it all points back to, which is the first observation of the other Earth, the mirror Earth. And it stays and becomes more relevant throughout the movie. At first, it's just some like random blue dot. They don't really know much about it. It starts getting closer over the course of many years. And it leads to Rhoda getting a chance to have a second chance to maybe rectify the mistake that she made. Myself, when I watched this movie, I picked up on the idea that they kind of subtly introduced, that the minute one Earth observes the other in this movie, those two realities splinter and become alternate, right? And on Rhoda's Earth that we follow, she looks right to look at the other Earth. Theoretically, on the mirror Earth, she would look left, and maybe that wreck doesn't happen. Maybe John's family is still alive. I thought there were some really nice aspects of symbolism in the writing too. For example, she tells the story of the Russian cosmonaut, talking about there's this noise that a cosmonaut realizes is going to drive him insane, and he decides that he's going to fall in love with the noise so that it doesn't drive him insane. And to me, it was kind of...
Noises?
I'm sorry?
The noise? What that he heard?
No.
He heard his own heartbeat.
Well,
I can't find it.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought that the story wasn't even a real one. I thought that they just made it up for the movie. But I thought it was kind of a symbolic story that was kind of like John. He had to fall in love with Rhoda to get over the craziness that, in a weird way, she created. She created his depression. She created his life being turned upside down and his career going out the window, and his whole life was ruined. He even mentions it. But in falling in love with her, it gives him a renewed sense of purpose and a renewed sense of happiness. Unfortunately, there isn't like a really good end for them. Spoiler alert. She gives her ticket, because there is a contest in the movie when they realize they can travel to the other Earth. A billionaire basically funds something to where they can go somewhere, and they do give away a ticket. Rhoda wins the ticket in a write-in contest, and she gives it to John. I love the movie, man. I think it sends a great message about second chances. It sends a great message about sometimes making one bad choice can ruin not only your own life, but it can ruin others. I thought the message at the end where she faces herself, you'll notice the other her, if you will, the mirror her, is dressed in much better clothing, looks more affluent, probably did end up going to MIT, probably did become a successful contributor to society. Whereas Rhoda, like, where's she going to go? She's a felon. She's a convicted felon of a crime that most people would consider violent, even though it's unintentional. It's still a crime that led to somebody dying.
Vehicular manslaughter.
Yeah, but that's a tough thing, man. You can't ever get that expunged. That's not like a white collar felony. They'll expunge white collar crimes, no problem. But something like that, you never get that off your record. That'll never get expunged. Not without an unbelievable amount of money. Her life on that Earth is ruined. But on the mirror Earth, it isn't. On the mirror Earth, she came to what they would consider their mirror planet. I just thought it was a great message about second chances. And are there plot holes? There's plenty of plot holes. And there's a lot of things that you could poke at. There's a little bit of ambiguity to many aspects of the movie. You could watch this movie and get a totally different idea of what actually happened at the end. And they left it that way. Like, they left it open to interpretation, and that was very purposefully done. I think for a budget of $100,000, this movie is a major success. I can't think of another movie like it. That's why I picked it. I thought it was a unique story. I thought it was well written. Andy said that the score was bad.
I didn't say that.
You said you didn't like it.
I said it didn't stand out.
Didn't stand out. To me, it did. It's an original score done solely for the movie.
I don't know.
We
you can't use the budget part to make it better or worse, because Ralph Seppi's film Lover had a $10,000 budget, and I think it's better.
You're right. I mean, sometimes I'm guilty of that. Sometimes I'm a little bit more forgiving of things given a budget. This movie certainly.
It was dull.
Wow.
Horrible acting.
I thought the acting was good.
No. I don't know. Just completely.
Britt Marling got nominated for her acting in this movie.
Okay, do I agree with everything that gets nominated?
No, but
What did she get nominated for? A Golden Raspberry?
No, it wasn't a Golden Raspberry. It was Sundance Film Festival.
Sundance whack sometimes.
Oh, boy, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just keep trying to come to the table and find something that people like, and time after time.
Just pick Avengers, so then everyone will be happy.
I can't. I don't like those movies. I just don't like. Here's the thing. When it comes to movies like Avengers, I get that they're movies for the masses, and most people like them, and I think most people watch them. But I don't think that most people rewatch them. I don't think that people watch them over and over and over again. I watched this movie twice in the course of 2 weeks, and I loved it both times. I think it's great.
I'll watch it next week and still hate it.
I know. You hate everything I pick for the most part, other than 2001: A Space Odyssey. I don't know. We got to start charting this out. Like, I need to start tracking this stuff, but I don't know. And the worst part about it is 9 times out of 10. The people that listen to the show agree with you 100%.
I'm a man of the people.
Almost uniformly.
I'm a man of my people.
Yeah, right? And I mean that's fine. I know that I've jokingly ranted about hating that, but I don't care. You know what? I'll be in the minority on this movie. This movie is brilliant.
There was more emotion in that speech than there was in this movie.
No, this movie is brilliant. This movie is brilliant. It's brilliantly done. And the acting isn't bad, and the score was good. It did stand out to me.
What was your rating?
I give it a 7 out of 10. I don't think it's not my favorite movie I've ever covered. Oh, Jesus. My God. That's worse than Absence of Malice, I think.
Worst movie we've seen on DCD Film Club based on my ratings.
Oh, it's not that bad. It's not perfect. I would tell people this is worth watching at least once.
Would I rather watch Absence of Malice? I would rather get butt-ass naked, sorry, you're going to bleep that, and lay in the snow than watch either film. They shouldn't be called that.
Ouch.
All right, so you guys may or may not have been wondering, because, apparently I don't care according to Alex. That we asked for no fan poll this week.
I was being facetious, but okay, yeah.
Because we have a special guest coming on next week, and we let them pick, and then we'll do a fan club selection via Patreon for the episode after that. So if you want to suggest a movie, we have Patreon links in the description. Just $1, and you can suggest a movie and try it out. Help out the show. But with that said, we have a guest next week. That is Drake Bowen, or M. Drake Bowen on Twitter. I had a podcast with him that ended. Won't get into why.
Oh man, but I want to spill some, as Ashley would say, I want to spill some tea. Is that what the kids say?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do that.
What the children say.
Let's talk some trash on DCD 33.
So Drake's pick, we had Fantastic Planet. We had Another Earth.
Yep.
He's going with the greatest sci-fi film of all time. He's going Dazed and Confused.
Dazed and Confused?
It's not a sci-fi movie. I was messing with you.
I was going to say,
Dazed and Confused. The high school movie.
Oh, man. So I have to ask, because I always ask.
I've seen it, yes.
I have never seen this movie. I've heard so many things
about Fast
about...
Times at Ridgemont High.
No.
Oh my, Alex, I'm like 1,000 years younger than you, and these movies came out when you were.
I'm too busy watching terrible movies like Another Earth.
Are you too young for these?
No.
Or these like spot on for your age?
Nah, like Dazed and Confused. I just looked it up. Came out in '93. I was 8.
Okay, it's a little bit before your time.
But. Like, let's be honest, it was on TV when I was, a high schooler, so I guess I could have watched it then. I mean, I don't know.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High came out in '82.
Yeah, that's probably, I was just floating around in my dad's testes as a sperm at that point, so, and that's not even a vulgar statement, So like if you're listening and you're going, "Hey, this podcast isn't clean," I'm just talking about science.
Hey,
at one point, I was a sperm.
Butt, explicit version of butt, naked.
Yeah. I don't even think that gets considered as cursing, but I'll bleep it anyway. But yeah, man. Well, you know what? I look forward to that, and I look forward to having Drake on, and Drake, Drake's always been kind of a cool guy to me. I don't know why, but he's always been cool.
We slightly shifted the episodes. This means that you have the Halloween and Christmas episode now, not me. So you get to pick the movies for Halloween and Christmas now. I had it set up to where I had all my picks for the rest of the year set up. And I had the Halloween episode and the Christmas episode.
This doesn't change the rotation. You still pick next time.
Yes, it does. No, are we replacing fan? I thought we were just delaying fan club next week.
No.
Oh, well, never mind.
We'll do fan club we'll give people a good amount of time to sign up for the Patreon. Get your dollar ready.
All right. Never mind. I still have the Halloween and Christmas episode.
Yeah, there you go.
I picked the best Christmas movie and the best Halloween movie.
Yeah, I don't want to throw that off. So, anyway, looking forward to it. Looking forward to having Drake on. Moving on to sports. Andy has... I see what he's deleting here. I wouldn't want to talk about that either. Okay. Oh man, that was so fast. It was like I just see the cursor moving in the show notes, and I'm like, he's gonna delete that because he just doesn't want to talk about it. I'm about as
congratulations, Layla.
Yeah, I'm sad. Like you are, but for another reason, because everybody hates Another Earth, and I'm the only one who likes it. Anyway, moving on.
I'm the only one that's liked it. Watch, Devin Spinks is gonna be like 10 out of 10. Even though I'm pretty sure, I think he said his 2 favorite movies of all time, both movies I suggested to him.
It is, yeah. He's gone on the record saying that. Devin Spinks, he puts his like little mini review in the comments on YouTube, and it's always
I love it.
It's always worth reading.
He hasn't done it for the last episode yet because I texted him too. I DM'd him on Twitter. I was like, "You good?" I was like, "It's been a couple days. You haven't done your film club thing." And he was like, "Oh, I haven't finished Chernobyl yet. Then I'll check out the episode." Yeah.
Devin Spinks, he's you know what? He's one of the few people I know like online, because I don't talk to many people online about movies. So that's part of the reason why. But like when he says a movie is good or bad, I believe him. Colby, I used to believe Colby, but then he trolled me with absence of malice. I have not forgotten about that, Colby. If I'm ever in Texas, I'm probably gonna buy you a Whataburger, but I'm gonna verbally...
Do you trust my rating?
Yeah. It's part of me feels like I know it's not, but like sometimes I'm like, I like the stuff Andy picks, but he always hates what I pick. That makes me a little.
I feel like
bit sour.
movies
But
that
yeah.
I like, movies that I love, people like, but at the same time, I don't know. I just have a weird taste. Like I loved Hereditary, and that a lot of people didn't like that movie.
Still
Like
haven't checked that one out, but
when
I
I
need
worked
to.
at a theater, someone literally walked out and said, "Don't sell tickets to Hereditary. That's the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life."
See,
And that was, I watched it opening night, and I thought it was absolutely amazing.
now that's an overreaction. Like when people say it's the worst movie they've ever seen, I'm like, it can't be.
You haven't won.
Like The Room is
it's because
probably the worst movie I've ever seen.
I mean, Birdemic, Baby Genius.
Rubber was a terrible movie.
No rubber trash talk in the chat. The worst movie of all time is The Meg, though. Moving on. I'm kidding. What was I saying? It's a horror movie, so people go into it expecting, like The Conjuring, or not really Conjuring, like Insidious, like super jump scare, like have a fun time. But it's a slow paced, actually scary movie. Like, so people, I don't know. That's why I think people really disliked it. It's because it's really slow paced, but it's beautiful. I don't know. It's a masterpiece.
Okay.
I give it 10 out of 10.
Next topic here. ERWTTTTTTTT1EW. Yeah, okay. Andy's cat's typing in the show notes. No, but seriously.
We didn't go over the first sports topic. What are you talking about?
I just want to do that for comedic effect. The beauty/poetry in this year's NBA Finals. This is a topic that Andy put down. I think I know what he's talking about, but Andy, please expand on it for me.
I mean, you have like small moments of absolute beauty in sports where you have, like, think about the Goliath. This is a true David versus Goliath story, the NBA Finals, which now it's over. We know that David wins. The greatest team ever assembled in basketball history. They went 73-9 and added a top 3 basketball player all time to their team. They had 2 championships in a row. They go up against the Toronto Raptors, a team that's never won it all, a team that's not from this country, the only non-American team. Well, they are American, non-United States team. And every single player on the Toronto Raptors was not a lottery pick. Every single player wasn't picked in the lottery. Everyone has been an underdog their entire career. That's not saying Toronto hasn't had a lottery pick, but in the trade deadline, they traded their last lottery pick to the Grizzlies.
So, I agree with you. I think this... Boy, there's just so many, like, great storylines.
That's a 30 for 30 right there.
I think it kind of... It definitely could be. Also, Kawhi Leonard, I think, was a lottery pick.
He was not.
Drafted number 15 overall. That's barely in the lottery.
Oh, that's lottery's 14 picks long. Huh.
I thought it was 15.
Well, 16 teams make the playoffs, and there's 30 teams. Let's do some math. Oh, 30 minus 16, 14. 14 lottery picks.
Oh, there you go. Okay, well, okay. Stand corrected. Okay.
You can look up every single player. I know for a fact, not a single player on the team was picked in the lottery.
So... aside from my failed actually moment there, there's a lot of good storylines here. I feel like Kawhi Leonard will probably go somewhere else. It just, there's too many.
He bought a house in Toronto. He won a championship.
Well,
I think he's resigning.
I mean, if I were him, I would resign. I would leave well enough alone. I think Toronto's a beautiful city. It's an international city. Probably one of the biggest markets in Canada, and I think this kind of makes him sort of a Canadian national sports hero of sorts, which is probably the only basketball player who could say that, other than maybe Vince Carter. But if he leaves, I still feel like it's the best one-year player story probably ever in the NBA. He gets traded somewhere, as like Toronto fully expected. This could be a rental. You know, like we
Even if
may
he does leave, they won the trade.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I felt like they won the trade even if they didn't win the NBA Finals. You know, giving up DeMar DeRozan, I know that hurts, and I know that DeMar DeRozan was certainly hurt by it. He made that very known throughout the course of the year and after the trade. But much like the Bucks giving away 3 first-round draft picks to get John Gruden, when you win a Super Bowl, it's all worth it. Yeah. Like how many teams in the NBA have never won a championship? It's a lot. It's a lot of teams. It's not like the NFL where there's just a handful.
50% of all championships in the NBA are won by 2 teams.
Exactly. Lakers and Celtics, right?
Lakers own 25. Lakers own like 25 point something, and Lakers own 24 point.
Yeah.
Something.
It's a great story. I mean, you know, there's so many guys on that team that I think this is kind of the culmination of their career arc. You know, and it's something that will always define their career. Kyle Lowry, for example, had a great game tonight in Game 6.
Off.
That was a guy nobody wanted a couple years ago. Houston didn't even want him. Mark Gasol, another guy who the tail end of his career, you know, and
you know, defensive player of the year.
Yeah,
as a closeted Memphis Grizzlies fan, which is the joke for my mom, but she's not listening. She doesn't listen to this part of the podcast. Yeah, I'm happy for Marc Gasol. He's one of my favorite players of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great story for him too. Like, you know, this is a guy drafted 2nd overall. I remember when he first came in the league, they were just calling him Pau Gasol's fat brother. Like, that's what people jokingly used to call him. You know, spent all those years in Memphis. It just never came together in Memphis. It wasn't really his part, or his fault, rather. It wasn't his part of the equation that was off, or Zach Randolph, or even Mike Conley. But it's just like, it just never all came together like it did for the Raptors this year.
Where'd you say he was drafted?
Marc Gasol?
Yeah.
I want to say he was drafted in the 2nd round by the Lakers.
Okay, I thought you said. I'm pretty sure you said 2nd overall.
If I said 2nd overall, I'm definitely.
It's 2nd round, pick 48.
Yeah, I definitely misspoke then, because Marc Gasol was drafted late in the 2nd round by the Lakers, and I remember he was a throw-in basically in the Pau Gasol trade from Memphis to the Lakers. And I remember everybody used to just pile on the guy and say, yeah, he's just Pau's fat brother. You know, and I mean, it was just, I don't know. But this was kind of a cool moment. I think it's good for the NBA overall. And the reason I say that is I actually work with some people who are Canadian, and this got them interested in the NBA. So in a way, I feel like this is better for the league than the Warriors winning. And I say that as somebody who doesn't like either team. Like, I have no horse in this race. But, and by the way, it was also a really fun series to watch. It was a great NBA Finals. You don't need LeBron in the NBA Finals for it to be good.
No one ever said that.
Well, I just know people who are like, you know, like, I'm talking about casual NBA fans, okay, that I talk to, and they're like, well, LeBron isn't in the playoffs, it's going to be boring.
You hear it from time to time. Oh, the league's going to be so different without Kobe. Oh, the league's going to be so different without D Wade. Oh, the league's going to be so different with X. It's not. The league gets better and better every year.
I think one thing, so like the WWE, something that they've really struggled with is like when you watch WrestleMania, they rely so much on the old stars.
John Cena.
Yeah.
Demonetized.
So, yeah, that's definitely going to get content ID match. But like something that WWE has struggled with is creating new stars with younger people that obviously can have their own stories, their own career arc. One thing the NBA has never struggled with, at least in the modern NBA, the David Stern, Adam Silver era NBA, when Jordan left, everybody thought the league was going to, people won't care anymore. It kept going. It kept going. There was this new generation of stars. There was
someone fills in the shoes.
The Allen Iversons, the Kobe Bryants, the Shaqs, Vince Carter. All those guys came up around that time. Yeah, like late 90s, early 2000s. There were Ray Allen was another guy.
Duncan.
Yeah, there were all these really good players who came in. And like when some of those players started kind of getting older, then we got the peak LeBron years. We got the peak D Wade years. We got all that.
Kevin Durant.
And even as those guys are now starting to retire, and LeBron will eventually retire, I don't know, probably in like 6 or 7 years or whatever, I'm sure people are going to go, oh man, who's the next star? There will be somebody.
Yeah, I mean,
they will.
Joel Embiid.
They do.
Nikola Jokic. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
That's probably the most likely of the three. But one thing the NBA does a great job of is getting people excited about younger players. And I will say they probably do a better job of that than the NFL does, than the MLB does, and even the NHL.
I don't know about MLB.
I think so.
MLB's... There's always, like, I don't know. Speaking of MLB, shout out to Shohei Ohtani. Hit for the cycle tonight for us.
Yeah.
Thursday night for y'all.
First Japanese player to ever do that. Pretty cool.
And he's also a pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, like, first of all, the guy's a complete, like, to me,
the most complete player, literally.
I know,
he's
but
a 6-tool player.
It's pretty hardcore that he suffered that injury and he's still batting this year as a DH. I think that's kind of hardcore and cool.
I mean, it's been like not a year, but it's been like 9 months since the injury. 10
yeah,
months.
and like next year, I guess he'll maybe go back to pitching a little bit. And I always thought,
maybe I don't know. I feel like they should throw him in relief.
Maybe. I don't think that he wants to do that though, and I think that part of the deal with him going there, and him and the team have been very vocal about this, is he very clearly wants to do both. He wants to start as a pitcher, and he also wants to be a player. And I think they should let him do both. And I think it's also really good for the game. I mean, he was a front page player on ESPN when he was doing both, and he's still a front page player now. I think that I know Mike Trout is the better player overall in terms of overall contribution, but I think Ohtani is the more meaningful player and will get more attention because of the diversity of what he brings to the table.
I said this like a month ago, and surprisingly didn't get any hate for it. But I said Mike Trout isn't the best player in baseball, and no one questioned it on Twitter.
Well, right now, I mean, if we're talking about like right now, it's probably Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, by a mile.
Yeah, but I just don't know if that's sustainable. I don't know. Maybe it is.
They're all young.
I don't know. Barry Bonds, like you look at some of his peak years, I didn't think that was sustainable. And he sustained it for much longer than I think anybody really expected, except for his defense. His defense really declined. But,
defense,
he put bad knees, dude. I mean, like, if Barry Bonds...
Go play in the AL if your defense sucks.
So, first of all, if you want to talk about somebody who had a collusion case, I think Barry Bonds had a collusion case against the league. But if somebody had signed him as a DH, I think he probably could have been a DH for like 2-3 more years, maybe even more. He probably would have hit 800 home runs in his career, easy. Like, that's how good he was as a hitter.
Greatest baseball player of all time.
Probably.
I love Barry.
As much as I hate to say that, probably.
So, speaking of things, I couldn't think of a segue. Women's World Cup's going on.
Yep.
I want to know if you're interested in it, first off.
I dabble in it.
U.S. is great.
They are. Here's the thing about soccer. I don't I don't really like the World Cup. I honestly lose interest in the men's World Cup when they get eliminated, when the U.S. gets eliminated.
So you didn't even watch last
No,
World Cup?
didn't watch a single bit of it.
Oh, well, this year,
I'm
did you
terrible.
watch the first game of the Women's World Cup for us?
No.
Well, do you know about it?
Well, I know they scored 13 points.
Yeah, they won 13-0. Alex Morgan scored 5 goals.
Yeah. I think the women's
I had $100
US
in that game.
Yeah, the women's U.S. team is exceptional, and they have been for a very long
defending
time.
champs.
Yeah, and I think they're definitely one of the favorites going into this World Cup. And I have watched a good amount of women's soccer over the years when the U.S. is in the World Cup, maybe even more, just because the U.S. generally lasts longer in the tournament. But I did miss the initial game because I had other commitments, but I did hear a lot about it. And I did see a lot of the I have a question for Andy. This is kind of a hot button issue. I saw some people on Twitter who were really upset. Do you think that the U.S. women's team should be paid as much as the U.S. men's team?
No.
Why not?
Well, I mean, national team wise, I guess. Why not?
Okay.
But, like, professional, like, I guess I answered it wrong. National team wise, yes. Professionally, no. Like, WNBA doesn't deserve as much as the NBA.
Yeah, I get the sentiment from people who think that they should get paid as much.
The argument for the WNBA is like it's the NBA players get paid 50% of revenue, and WNBA players are like it's like 20%.
Okay, so what I would tell WNBA players is,
but the WNBA, the league itself has never been profitable a single year of existence.
So I think
the NBA is wasting money on it.
So I think that's kind of where the economic reality comes in. I realize what I'm going to say is not going to be popular, but I just felt the need. I thought it was a cool topic to talk about. So, like, when it comes to the WNBA specifically, if you're mad about making 20%, you really have nobody to blame but your Players Association that negotiated that CBA, right? Because, like, if NBA players were upset with the revenue stake that they get in CBA, you better believe they'd either go on, like, hold out and not play, which has happened before. There's also been lockouts where they've demanded a certain revenue stake, like the last one where we had a shortened season in the NBA. It was because the players wanted to go from 47% to 50%. So, that's what I would tell WNBA players. You should be mad at your Players Association. I think the economic reality is I don't think they could give them any more than 20% because of what you just said where they've lost money. It's kind of a tough situation for them financially. I don't see a pathway for the WNBA making money. I know they have some really good ideas. And then, like, when it comes to the U.S. national soccer team, I get the idea. So the traditional feminist in me, right? And when I say traditional feminist, I mean what it sounds like. A traditional feminist just wants an even playing field, equal work, equal pay, that kind of thing, right? That's really as far as it should go. Women should get the same rights. I do. I also think that there's another aspect to equality, though, which is merit-based rewards, right? You do a good job at work, you get a raise, you get a promotion. You don't do a good job, you might not have that job anymore.
Discord wouldn't do this tonight, but Alexander's frozen.
Oh, you didn't freeze for me. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was saying, like, one of the other aspects of being treated equal is merit-based rewards, right? So, like, if you have a job, right, and you do better at your job than other people, you might get a promotion, you might get a raise. Whereas if you don't do a good enough job, you could easily be fired. So, like, for me, when it comes to the U.S. women's soccer team, they certainly just don't generate as much revenue as the men's team. That's just a fact. Therefore, they're not going to make as much. I feel bad for them.
Equality.
How? Explain that to me.
Equity is setting everyone up setting everyone on the same playing field for success, but not handing everything to them. Like setting everyone the same opportunity to succeed. Like me and Sarah Smith over there, or Dontrell Inman, to succeed at the same rate. But it's not like,
No, I get what you're saying. Because like I don't want you to think when you say equity versus equality, I feel like what I was saying as far as equality is what you're getting at. I agree with that 100%. That's a good way to put it. That's even better way than it's more eloquent than the way I put it. I think that there should be equality in opportunity. And I think that from there, it should be a merit-based conversation, like a meritocracy of sorts. Like, we've talked about this before. I think it was on your other podcast. Like,
yeah, we've never talked about politics on this podcast.
We have. Affirmative action, like, to me, just doesn't make sense because, to me, the best person, the most qualified person should get the job, regardless of factors that are beyond their control. But
what's your opinion on universal basic income?
Boy, that's a really tough one, man. Because, like, I like the idea of it. I like, because if you had universal basic income,
there'd be no homeless people.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, it throws other things off, though. Like, you'd have a government that was, I mean, we'd be way into the deficit if we did something like that.
Cut off all beneficial programs, like cut off Section 8, cut retirements, all that.
Okay, so then if you do, see, it's such a complex issue, and I'd probably need to talk to an economist who could explain it to me. Probably in a much, like, I'd have to do a lot of research on it to form.
It's not like
because it's a really deep issue, and I also figured just out of curiosity, Andy, like, is there a country that's doing universal basic income right now? Because I can't recall one that is.
Discord was messed up, but universal basic income is what Andy Wang, Democratic politician, is kind of pushing.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like Donald Trump on the wall. It won't actually happen if he gets elected, but it's basically everyone gets paid. Literally every single U.S. citizen gets paid, like, let's just use simple numbers, $1,000 a month to cover electricity, to pay for food, to, like, pay for all the basics so you can live with, like, so if you ever hypothetically lost your job, or the main reason it's kind of a popular thing is the way everything's set up right now, it's a massive risk to start a company. But if there's universal basic income, you'd have like a safety net to fall back on. So, like, if you wanted to quit your job right now and start selling socks, like, it's a safety net. So, like, it pushes everyone forward. So, like, it's not enough to where, like, I can, like, use that and go buy, like, a car or, like, Jordan. It's just a small amount. So no one's starving, no one's homeless, everyone has a place to live.
Yeah.
But if you want a bigger house, or if you want a pair of Jordans, you want the new Xbox, you'd still have to have a job.
Yeah, I know one country had it go to a vote, and it resoundingly got voted down. And when they translated the money that it would be in their currency to U.S. dollars, it was going to be something like, I want to say $21,000 is what I remember. And, like, you and I very well know, like, if I had
not a lot of money.
Yeah, if you had an annual salary of $21,000, you'd probably be living in, like, a 3-bedroom apartment with roommates, and, like, really cutting corners to cover your expenses. I don't even know if you could live off $21,000, period.
I mean, you probably live where I live off that. Not where you live.
You probably could, like, just barely get by, but I mean, you're talking about, like, really running lean.
Ramen noodles.
I
You see those
mean,
videos of people fixing everything with ramen? Dude, ramen's wild.
yeah, yeah. You know what I always wonder though with universal basic income, like, would that lead to employers factoring that into their payroll decisions? Like, would the guy making $40,000 a year, when he gets hired somewhere, instead of getting a job offer for 40,000, they'd make him a job offer for 19? Like,
I don't know.
would it affect
Yeah.
that? Would it cause inflation?
But there's, I don't
There's
know.
just
There's
so
other
many
problems though
questions.
too.
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea, and it's like
Also, in a perfect world, like I'd rather have more CEOs like Zuckerberg. As much hate as he gets and stuff, he gets paid 1 penny a year from Facebook.
well, yeah, I mean, because he has an equity stake in Facebook that's unbelievable.
But still, he gives all the employees money. Like
I
he
get
doesn't
that.
take home anything.
I get that. I mean, I think that that's also a valuable conversation to have. Like, you know, how is it that I was talking with Ashley about this? Like, Nike, their CEO makes so much money per year that if you take someone who works in one of their factories overseas, one of their sweatshops or whatever, do the math, man. That person would have to work like 40 hours a week for hundreds of years to make in 1 year what their CEO makes.
To actually spill some tea about my job that I don't care because I have 63 days left. You can fire me if you want. But my GM gets paid $70,000 a year. The GMs under him get paid $10, or the GMs under him. The managers under him get paid $10 an hour, and all he does is sign papers at the end of the week and makes them do everything that he has to do.
I mean, it's just unfortunately, when it comes to economics, it's never fair. Like, I think somebody put it more eloquently, but for there to be rich people, there have to be a lot of poor people. And that's just the reality, dude. Like, when you have people that are billionaires, that means you have a lot of people. No, I agree 100%. I hate homelessness. My great uncle,
literally not a problem in any other country.
My great uncle on my father's side, he was a transient. He did well for himself, like, considering, like, there are homeless people who had it off way worse than he did, right? But he didn't suffer from mental illness or drug addiction or anything like that. But he was homeless, and he would jump trains, and he would go town to town, and he'd work odd jobs for money. But he never had a home. And that always just, like, killed everyone in my family. After a while, he just kind of got used to it, man. But he'd come through town every couple months, you might see him.
Stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, like, he always kind of looked at the silver lining, like, he's not tied down to anything. He got to experience a lot of stuff, but I mean, I just don't think that it should happen.
There's who did it? I cannot remember, but there's someone that was on a podcast that was like, they lived like most of their 20s just hopping from town to town in like Australia, and then they went to like Asia, and they'd just get like fishing jobs or like some minute job that he would work for a couple months, and then when he got bored with the location, he'd go somewhere else. You can consider that homeless, but he was having a blast.
Well, my great uncle was definitely not that style homeless. It was the
or maybe he was a psychopath.
No, he wasn't. I mean, like, to give you an example,
that's what they said about Ted Bundy.
Yeah, okay, but like,
sorry,
he used to tell us stories about like the things that homeless people had to do. So for example, like, they used to duct tape their wallet to their chest because it was like, who the hell is going to steal something from you when it's taped onto your chest? Like, they'd have to knock you out, right? Whereas if you have it in your pocket, like, they could easily just pickpocket you or whatever. And I just always, like, that was the one thing that always stood out to me the most, was like, this guy jumped trains taping his wallet to his chest because he was homeless. But the alternative for him would have been working out of a coal mine. So, I mean, pick your poison. And that's kind of where my family comes from. But yeah. Anyway, poisons.
Random question. What's on the topic list?
Yeah.
If you're on death row, you can pick how you died. What are you going with? Lethal injection, electric chair, firing squad.
People are going to call BS on this. I think they all have their downsides. I'm taking firing squad, bro.
Dude, yeah, firing squad's the answer.
Put a cigarette in my mouth.
I didn't know this, but did you know that in firing squads, it's like the 7 people have guns. I thought only one of them had a bullet, and that was like the thing. No, 6 of them have a bullet. One of them has a blank. So like, there's like everyone like. It's not like, and they're all aimed at your heart, not your brain. That's like, firing squad's awesome.
Yeah, I'd probably.
You know, if you had to guess when the last firing squad happened, guess a year.
I don't know, 1973?
Ooh, close. 2010.
It's not even close.
Yeah, no, I was joking.
I know there's one state that still does it.
It's like 3 states.
Oh, well.
There's 3 states where there's the option of firing squad.
I would take that, man. Like
Mississippi is one of them. Missouri is one of them.
I've heard electric chair can get really sloppy. Like I've heard that there were cases where they did the electric chair and it didn't kill people in a very timely manner.
Lethal injections apparently very painful.
I would assume it is. But then again, getting shot in the heart is kind of a bad one too. Because if you get shot in the heart, you typically last about 2 or 3 minutes, and it's a very painful experience.
Why don't you lock me into a garage and start a car? It's not an option or like a thing, but I feel like that'd be a good way to go.
I seem to remember like there might have been at one point where people were mentioning the possibility of like using a gas chamber for capital punishment. So
it's
I mean that one. No, it's definitely not the same gas.
It's cyanide.
Yeah.
Which the reason they don't do what I said is because it takes like up to like 2 hours to kill someone that way.
Yeah.
Versus the cyanide gas takes like 3 minutes.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I take the firing squad. Anyway, that's going to do it for DCD 33. Real quick, as I always like to do, links in the description for t-shirts. Buy any of those. Gives us like $4 to $6. So if you want to support us, you want to get a shirt, go for it. I think they're like $18 right now. Sometimes they go on sale for $13. I try to tweet it out when they go on sale. If you're listening to the audio only version, you're wondering where the video version is, just go to deadchannelduo.com, and there's a link to our YouTube right at the top of the page. Same thing goes if you're watching the video version, you want to get the audio only version. We're on like everything now.
Except for our Patreon.
Except for iHeartRadio. Yeah, and then Patreon, I'll put a link in there for that. I got to set that all up.
Cheaper than a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah. $1 minimum. We might set up some additional tiers. Every dollar helps. Every dollar helps. Andy, anything you want to talk about?
Film Club.
Yeah, exactly.
We're in the dog days of sports.
Officially, right now we are. Yeah.
It's basically baseball and World Cup. That's it.
Yep.
We're the dog days, you know. I don't know. I'm having fun watching MLB this year, so that's fun.
I've had fun watching the Marlins, even though they're not very good. I've had a lot of fun watching them, and I've enjoyed watching the teams that they play. They've played like the Dodgers series was a lot of fun to watch. The Red Sox
have been frustrating. They've blown 10 saves this season. All right, Dead Channel Duo, episode 33.
See you next week.
Das vidanya.
Oh God.